What's happening, everybody? On today's show, we've got transfer portal movement. Oklahoma gets a big addition, beating out some other SEC schools, and the highest paid coach in the SEC gets even richer. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to our everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go, the fast-paced game that lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes. Go download Monopoly Go today for free on Google Play or the App Store. All right, it's been a while since we've done this, so let's do it. Let's dive into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Takes the handoff. What a catch!
Around the conference.
And we start over at Georgia as Kirby Smart and University of Georgia finalized a new contract extension that will reportedly pay him a 10-year contract worth $130 million. That is from Chris Lowe of ESPN, who said the contract was officially approved by university officials on Thursday. Per the deal, Smart's contract is fully guaranteed for at least the first half of the deal. So his contract now runs through 2020 or 2033. Smart was previously slated to make $10.75 million this coming year. Under his previous contract, instead, he becomes the first ever college football head coach to make $13 million a year. Kirby saying in a statement to ESPN, "I continue to be grateful and humbled by our administration's commitment to our football program. The current culture in college athletics is ever changing and as challenging as it has been. I truly appreciate the leadership that our team is continually providing." Nick Saban was previously the highest paid coach in college football before he retired back in January. He was making just over $11 million a year last year. Now, Kirby Smart's $13 million for the upcoming year will mark the highest single season payday for a public school head coach. That beats out Nick Saban's 11.1. And according to CBS Sports Research, Dabo Swinney ranks second in college football, making $11 million this upcoming season. Now, Steve Sarkisian, with his new payday, he will make $10.6 million. Ohio State's Ryan Day will make $10.2 million. So they're third and fourth. And then three other coaches tie for fifth at $10 million a year. That includes Lincoln Riley at USC, Mike Norvell at Florida State, and Kalen DeBoer at Alabama, who has yet to coach a game at Bama. But Kirby Smart has earned his status. Obviously, he's the highest paid coach of college football. He's won 2 of the last 3 national championships. He went 42-2 in that span, and he's entering his 9th season already. Crazy to think we're going on a decade that Kirby has already been at Georgia. But over the previous 8 seasons, Georgia had an overall record of 94-16. Only twice during his tenure has Georgia lost more than one SEC regular season game in a single season. Now, Georgia AD Josh Brooks also got a contract extension and a new annual salary of $1.27 million with annual increases of $100K. His deal runs through 2030. So congrats to Kirby, congrats to Georgia, and we'll see any other SEC coaches. Now, here's the thing. Anybody in the SEC, if you beat Georgia and Kirby this year, well, then you deserve a pay raise next offseason, right? If you beat the highest paid coach, you should become the highest paid coach, or at least get a bigger payday. All right. In other news, looking around at the transfer portal, Oklahoma adding a big-time contributor to their defensive line. This commitment came Thursday evening. Oklahoma landing a commitment from ex-TCU defensive lineman Damonic Williams. The star lineman had offers from Texas, LSU, Mizzou, among others, and he picked Oklahoma. And his announcement, Williams said he picked Oklahoma because of the relationship he had built with Brent Venables and defensive line coach Todd Bates. He wrote, "They were genuine, and I believe in their ability to develop me as a man and a player and prepare me for the next level. Can't wait to get to work with my teammates. You will get the best version of me and my best effort. God bless, and Boomer Sooner." Now, Williams was very good as an interior defensive lineman last year for TCU, 33 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, all career highs. He was also a contributor for TCU as a freshman in 2022 when they got to the national championship game. But he ranked as the number 4 available player in the portal, according to ESPN's rankings. 6'2", 320 pounds, And he joins a front seven that already has some big studs like Danny Stutzman, Ethan Downs, and Oklahoma. Big time get for them. Williams did take visits with all four of his options, but by Thursday it was looking like it was down between Texas and Oklahoma. But On Three said that Oklahoma has what they need to compete in the SEC. Pete Nako saying points have been made. I think this is the point now that Oklahoma can play in the SEC. They have the NIL dollars to make that happen, and they needed this to happen. You talk to football folks and everything, there was a real need to add another guy in that defensive tackle position in the portal for Oklahoma. This was a huge win for the Sooners. So big time get there. I know LSU was going very hard on him. They could not get him. Neither could Texas. And a big get for Oklahoma. We'll see what he does in the SEC this coming season. And speaking of the Texas Longhorns, the Longhorns got a commitment over the weekend through the transfer portal from a defensive back. San Jose State transfer corner Jayvion Cole announced his commitment to Texas on Sunday, beat out other offers from Auburn, Cincinnati, Tennessee. And look, Texas just lost Terrence Brooks to the transfer portal following the conclusion of their spring practice, so they needed some depth there. And Cole became a starter for the Spartans early last season, put together a sophomore campaign where he led the Mountain West in pass breakups with 10 and led the team in interceptions with 3. He received all-conference honorable mention in 2023. He'll have 2 years of eligibility remaining once he arrives in Austin, and certainly seems to be a guy whose stock is on the rise. And so we'll keep an eye there on Jayvion Cole, defensive back, going over to Texas. All right, over at Mississippi State, big time get for Jeff Lebby and crew. Former New Mexico State wide receiver Trent Hudson committed to Mississippi State on Sunday. He spent the first 2 years of his college career at Trinity Valley Community College in Texas, transferred to New Mexico State ahead of the 2023 season, had a breakout year, and now he's heading to Starkville for his final season of college football. In his final JUCO year, he caught 50 balls for 778 yards and 8 touchdowns. And then this past year, 35 catches for 551 yards and 10 touchdowns in Conference USA last season. 6'3", 180-pound wideout. And Bulldogs have a lot of new pieces there on that offense. Blake Shapen at quarterback, obviously a bunch of receivers through the portal already, and Kelly Akarai from UTEP, Kevin Coleman from Louisville, tight ends, Justin and Cam Ball, and now add Trent Hudson to that mix. So another new face we'll have to get used to seeing over at Mississippi State. Over at Florida, they made a splash in the transfer portal a couple days ago. Jason Zandamella graduated early from high school, enrolled at USC in the spring, and decided USC was not for him. So after spending a few weeks in the portal, he lands at Florida. Shared the news on social media, was a 4-star prospect, the number 4 interior offensive lineman in the 24/7 Sports Composite. 6'3", 285 pounds. Big time get there for Billy Napier and crew. And then on Thursday, class of 2025 defensive lineman Jeremiah McLeod announced his commitment to the Florida Gators. He's 6'4", 300 pounds, considered a 3-star on 3 and 24/7, but a 4-star by Rivals and ESPN. He had previously committed to Mississippi State back in January and decommitted a couple weeks ago, and now appears to be headed to the Florida Gators. Becomes the 4th commitment of the 2025 class for Billy Napier. Will join 4-star edge Jalen Wiggins, 4-star running back Waltez Clark, and 3-star wide receiver Josiah Abdullah. They did have also offensive lineman Enoch Wangoy, who was previously a 2024 commit, but reclassified to the class of 2024. One more nugget here. Auburn linebacker Jamonte Waller was arrested in Mississippi on Friday. He was charged with malicious mischief involving property of another. He was ranked a 4-star recruit, number 136 overall player in the country, according to On 3 Sports. Signed with Auburn after attending Picayune Memorial High School in Picayune, Mississippi. No other details released about his arrest, but Pearl River County Sheriff David Allison told WLOX that arrest occurred because of a prank at the school that escalated. It has not been confirmed if his arrest stems from that incident. Signed with Auburn in December after flipping his commitment from the Florida Gators. So certainly a story we will try to keep an eye on. And there you have it. It's the latest. Well, it's only half of the latest going on around the conference here on Locked On SEC. Still plenty more to get to, and we will get to all of that here coming your way in just a second. But thanks for making us your first listen every day. First, I want to remind you guys this episode is presented to you by our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. And look, when you are hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to go check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They help you hire professionals that are right for your gig. And again, it's not like you're just searching anywhere for a new job. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional and go use LinkedIn Jobs. 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring right now. Go post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Go post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Get on there today. All right, continue on here. Locked On SEC. Thank you guys for making us your first listen every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Go on back each and every day and check us out as we get you caught up on all the latest news going on around the conference. And we got plenty more to dive into as we start back into it. We head over to Missouri as Eli Drinkwitz and company. They came up short in Jeremiah Beasley's initial recruitment. It turns out he is going to end up at Missouri anyway. Beasley announcing his commitment to play for Eli Drinkwitz. As a high school prospect, was rated 4 stars, number 8 player in the state of Michigan. And was the number 377 prospect overall by the 24/7 Sports Composite. Gives Missouri a blue-chip linebacker in their 2024 class. Mizzou's only other 2024 linebacker signee was Nicholas Rodriguez. Williams-Winery was the headliner of the class, 5-star edge defender. But Beasley had scholarship offers from a ton of different places. Committed to Michigan June of last year. Followed through on his verbal pledge. Signed to play with Michigan when Jim Harbaugh was still the head coach. He enrolled at Michigan on January 15th, days after Michigan's national championship. And then Jim Harbaugh on January 24th took the Los Angeles Chargers job. So his departure provided Beasley an opportunity to hit the portal immediately. Still went through spring practice at Michigan, but decided, you know what, this isn't for me. So with Beasley in the portal, Eli Drinkwitz and staff add another body to their linebacker room. So congrats to him ending up in the SEC after all. All right, over at Alabama, former Alabama safety Payton Woodyard officially committed to Oregon over the weekend. The class of 2024 safety enrolled at Alabama in January, but decided after Nick Saban moved on, he wanted to make a change, and he will have all 4 years of eligibility remaining. So best of luck to Payton Woodyard over at Oregon. Over to LSU, former LSU linebacker Christian Braithwaite announced his commitment to Houston. Played in 5 games for the Tigers last year. Redshirted his true freshman season, as the 5th game he played in was the bowl game. No longer counts toward your 4 games as a player. So uses it as a redshirt year before enrolling at LSU. He was from the Houston area. It's a 4-star prospect. So big get there for the Houston Cougars and Willie Fritz. Over in Arkansas, a couple of their O-linemen moving on. Arkansas transfer Paris Patterson is expected to transfer to SMU, according to 24/7 Sports. He's 6'6", 350 pounds, was a part of the Razorbacks' 2023 recruiting class. And also Arkansas transfer offensive tackle Andrew Chambly is expected to commit to SMU as well. Chambly is one of the more coveted O-lineman transfers in the transfer portal. And SMU lost 4 players to the transfer portal during the winter window. So getting a couple of O-linemen from Arkansas would be nice additions for them. Meanwhile, over at Vanderbilt, Commodores wrapped up their spring offseason and now heading into the summer portion of their preparation. Vandy head coach Clark Lee said they still have plenty of time to figure out who their starting quarterback is going to be. He was saying last week It is set up to continue on through the summer and into fall camp. I was pleased with the fact we didn't turn the ball over in practice, something that we've harped on all spring. I think it was on the ground once or twice. All three guys have flashed. So we will see who it ends up being over there at Vanderbilt. Of course, it's interesting quarterback room for Vandy. They do bring in a transfer, or all transfers really, as they bring in Nate Johnson from Utah, Blake Berlowitz, and the really interesting one to keep an eye on is Diego Pavia, who a lot of people think could end up being the guy as he transfers in from New Mexico State. So going to be interested to see that one. Hey, congrats to Clark Lee, too, also adding to his wide receiver room. Former UMass and Louisiana Monroe wide receiver Dariyan Wiley committed to Vanderbilt. Played sparingly at UMass, but with ULM, caught 40 passes for 534 yards. Was a three-star prospect back in 2019. So it's an older guy who you get to add to that wide receiving room over at Vanderbilt. All right, how about some SEC hoops nuggets? Alabama making a big-time pickup in the transfer portal on Sunday. Clifford Omaruri, big man from Rutgers, committed his commitment to Alabama, committed to the Tide over the likes of Georgetown, Kansas State, and North Carolina. Now, Joe Tipton, who covers college basketball recruiting for On3, he said that Omaruri turned down a $2 million NIL offer to play at Alabama. Rivals, Alabama Insider reporting that North Carolina offered more money for Omaruri, but ultimately Alabama won out. So it's crazy to see when, another school's offering more money and the kid still ends up going to a different program. But 6'11", 240-pound big man, was a multi-year starter at Rutgers, played 121 games over 4 seasons, made 104 starts. His career numbers have him averaging 10 points and 7.7 rebounds per game. Of course, Alabama coming off a Final Four appearance, first time in program history. And what a roster Nate Oates is putting together. Now, Mark Sears is currently testing the NBA draft waters. If he comes back, Tide are going to be even more loaded. They return Grant Nelson, Latrell Wrightsell, Jaron Stevenson. And if Sears comes back, man, they will be the overwhelming preseason favorite in the SEC. Get Aiden Holloway from Auburn. It's quite a bunch. All right, over at Kentucky, Mark Pope, he's been busy. Wildcats got a couple of transfer commitments last week, including Dayton transfer Kobe Bray, West Virginia guard Kerr Kriisa. So they keep adding there in Lexington. And shout out to the women's side of things. Vanderbilt picking up Penn State transfer Leilani Kapinus, Kapinus, Kapinus. She averaged 11.5 points, 6.8 rebounds as a junior, was named to the Big Ten All-Defensive Team. So good pickup there for Vandy women's basketball. And there you have it. That's the latest going on around the conference. Still more to come here on Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. When we return, I want to discuss an article 24/7 Sports put out ranking the top 10 best college football game day traditions in the nation, and ranked them. Only a few SEC schools making this list, so we'll hit on that coming your way here in just a sec. But first, I want to remind you guys, this episode presented to you by our friends over at Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You already talked about them, but there's so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, and there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for bigger prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges, a ton, including their own unique mini games. You need to go check it out. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench today. Go download it now for free on the Google Play or App Store. It is game on with Monopoly Go. Go check it out. Download it today. All right, roll along here, locked on SEC. And before we call it a show, I do want to touch on this. 24/7 Sports put out an article, said the 10 best college football game day traditions in the nation, and they ranked them. And here's what they said. It's a pageantry and tradition are hallmarks of college football and enhance game day experiences for players and fans alike. Well, throughout the 100-plus year history of college football, several time-honored traditions have separated themselves from the rest of the pack, including Alabama legend Nick Saban saying he is saddened by the loss of some of the traditions with conference realignment and all that kind of stuff. So 24/7 Sports, they ranked their top 10, and so we decided let's just hit on what some of the SEC schools and their traditions ranked on this list. And coming in at number 9 on the list, they have Sweet Home Alabama over at Alabama. They say Leonard Skinner's former top 10 hit, Sweet Home Alabama, is a tune that strikes a chord with Crimson Tide fans nationwide. The song is considered a staple of Southern and classic rock and has become synonymous with the state of Alabama, its flagship school, which adds in its slogan, Roll Tide Roll, during its singing. That tradition further adds to the raucous atmosphere of Bryant-Denny Stadium, where Tide fans typically have plenty to celebrate already. Now, the problem is they put Sweet Home Alabama. I would argue more Dixieland Delight is more of a tradition at Alabama games, right? I mean, that's the staple. It's like, oh, I can't go to the bathroom. I can't go get a refill of my beer. I got to stick around it to hear Dixieland Delight. So anyway, I would just say that one, they should have probably just combined them, put them together there. Coming in number 8 on their list, new SEC school. They've got the Sooner Schooner from Oklahoma, scaled down replica of the wagon that is pulled by 2 white ponies named Boomer and Sooner before every home game. The Schooner debuted at Owen Field in 1964, became the university's official mascot in 1980, and over the years, the Schooner has endured its fair share of mishaps, tipping over in 1993 and again in 2019. The wagon was also illegally brought onto the field in the 1985 Orange Bowl, resulting in a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct. Now, some of the other ones to make this list, we'll run through some of these because they're not all SEC related, but other ones that make the list, they had the Hawkeye Wave at Iowa. That's where the kids are in the children's hospital, and at a certain point of the game, they all turn and wave to the kids. That's cool. The one at Clemson is very weird. Howard's Rock, right? They rub the rock as they run down the hill. That's whatever. They also list the Play Like a Champion Today sign at Notre Dame. That's cool. As the players are walking down the stairs out of the locker room, they all hit the sign, Play Like a Champion Today. They also list Chief Osceola's spear plant at Florida State. As time goes on, maybe some people think that's a little bit more problematic than anything, but anyway, it's the guy comes out on the horse and throws the spear into the ground. And then they also have come in at number 2. Again, this is just all college football traditions, dotting the I at Ohio State. That's pretty iconic, right? Pretty big deal when they come out and do that. But coming in at number 1 on this list, number 1, they have Rolling Toomer's Corner at Auburn. And here's what 24/7 Sports says. Few college football traditions have weathered as many adversities as Auburn's practice of rolling the oak trees at Toomer's Corner in toilet paper after wins. In 2010, the trees were poisoned by an Alabama fan and later died. 6 years later, the trees were replaced again after getting set on fire after Auburn's win over LSU in 2016. Tiger fans were asked to refrain from rolling certain trees in 2022 to respect their growing process. The tradition was back in full force this year, and the Auburn faithful even rolled Toomer's Corner when news broke of Nick Saban's retirement, because why not? And look, that's cool. If they want to put Rolling Toomer's Corner at number 1 is one of the best traditions in all college football, but there's a few other things that maybe they left off here. I mean, you could add, at LSU, they do when they go to the fourth quarter, they LSU band plays, and they declare it as now night in Tiger Stadium. You got, Mr. Two Bits over at Florida. And then really, if you want to throw in other stuff, I mean, calling the Hogs at Arkansas, obviously, Do you want to talk about just simply UGA at Georgia? Some of the animals walking the sideline before the games. The Walk of Champions for Alabama. Midnight Yell at Texas A&M. How about the Vol Navy over at Tennessee? Awesome tailgating. How about the Grove at Ole Miss? South Carolina, you got not just the train tailgating, but you got Darude, Sandstorm. So, anyway, plenty of stuff we could have thrown in there that didn't make the list. The Cowbells at Mississippi State. So could have been a longer list there, but they list Rolling Toomer's Corner from Auburn as the number one among all college football traditions. I'm sure some Ohio State fans are going to say dotting the I is number one, but Rolling Toomer's Corner making the list of number one. All right, thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to Everydayers calling back tomorrow on the show. And hey, for your second listen, check out Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel for you on YouTube. It's available on Amazon Fire TV and in the free Fire TV channels app. And on YouTube, Locked On Sports Today, here for you 24/7, covering all the top sports stories of the day with our local experts. Find Locked On Sports Today, available on the free Fire TV channels app. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been Locked On SEC. Have a great day, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow. Come on back then.